Okay, hello guys. Welcome to this deck profile for the topic Gravidia list I used for Springfest. Sorry in advance, my camera that is using here is actually really bad quality, so hopefully you'll still be able to enjoy. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so starting things off, we have the ride line, which obviously we're using the Orphist 1 and 2. Pretty solid. Just get that early game pressure going. Start on grade 3, obviously, whatever. It's pretty simple. I do think this variant with the Orphist 1 especially is the better variant. I've tested with the other one, and I know that meta has been developing a lot for that one, but I think this one, just in the current meta we're in, is nicer. Okay, moving on to grade 3s, we have 3 more Gravidia, so the one in our ride deck plus the 3 here, so we can persona ride. This is pretty self-explanatory, honestly I don't need to explain this. A lot of this deck is pretty simple, so I guess this is more like a beginner's guide to Gravidia, if anything. We got 4 Bucket Burrito, very good card. This is one of the main things that made this deck even more viable in the set 4 meta, so very good to have. Then we go on to the grade 2s, where we have 4 Relic. So this one, it's got a very simple skill, just on hit, search deck or drop for a meteor and put it into your auto zone. This card is so amazing. This is pretty much like my favorite card of the deck, honestly. I'll get into a bit more. Actually, I can get into it now because we know that we have the one that searches for a world in our ride deck. So basically, this with a Shadow Enemy token behind it on turn 2, that's a 25k column. That's huge. That's very difficult to guard, especially... Actually, no, it doesn't even matter if you went first or second, because either way, 25 to 10k or 25 to 8k is sort of the same thing. And one trigger, like one 15k shield, will not be enough to stop that. So this is actually some really good pressure. And even if they do stop it, like let's say they drop a PG, that just means it's one less PG for Gravidia, so even better, honestly. Now, we're already at the grade 1, so you may notice there's actually not that many units in this deck, so it's honestly a little bit of a downside for it, but we've got the 4 PGs, obviously, I don't need to explain that. And then for the last non-trigger unit, we have 3 Gravidia Orgwell. So this card is pretty important, I'd say. So because we, again, are using this ride line, we will use a counterblast on turn 2, and this card basically just stops us from getting damage tonight. That's all that it's here for. Sometimes it can be a nice beater, but that's about it. It can make a 18k column with the grade 2. It's not bad. I think it's definitely worth running, but at the same time, if we get a better countercharger or if we get a better ride line, then this one would be unfortunately likely to be removed from the deck. Next, onto the triggers, we have 4 heals. I made sure to make all of my triggers, as much as I can, different rarity, different cards, so it would annoy the judges who are doing the deck checks. So when we move on to crits, you may notice that this is a 4 of the same rarity, so actually I'm a little sad I couldn't get any SPs of this one. Then 4 more crits. Obviously, you want to run 8 crits. This is a huge win con for Gravidia. Like, swinging with Gravidia and then doubling a crit trigger is huge, so... after that, we've got 3 fronts. I did try with draws for a very long time, and I just figured if I'm going to be killing them, I'd rather have fronts. It's easier shield as well, and in the event that I can't kill them and the game goes to a grind game, I'd rather have fronts rather than draws, so I'm not decking myself out. And obviously the last trigger is the over trigger, which actually flipped twice on the day. This is dumb. Doubling the power, and especially when you get this as the double, like it's insane. This deck can thin so much, so you will be hitting a lot of triggers. Okay, so now we have sort of the specialty of Brandgate. We have set orders, so I am running 7 of the grade 1 Meteor. I think 7's a very nice number. It's a little, like, higher than a few other lists I've seen, but I've never had a situation now where I've gone into a Gravidia and I haven't been able to search. for a Meteor, unless it's gone super, super late game. But yeah, 7 works very nicely for me. Honestly, I think this is the number that could be like most up to personal preference. So, you know, try 6, try 5, try 8 even, just see what works for you. And next, we obviously have the 4 grade 2 Meteor. So this one counts as 2. Even better, this is what you want to be searching off of this guy. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And last, I play the 1 Eclipse Moonlight. So this is the order that we search off of a grade 1. Obviously, gets our Shadow Army token, so it's very useful. This deck, as you've seen, it doesn't have many boosters. It only has an 8k booster, so having a 15k booster or even a 15k attacker is huge. So very, very good card. And yeah, that's it for the list. But I want to explain something that I've seen, so I'll get into that now. Okay, so there's this really cool Twitter user who I'm going to put their handle probably on the screen somewhere here. And they released this flowchart for Gravidia. So it basically explains their mentality of how the deck goes and what you should do. And I think that is the best way to learn how to play Gravidia. And especially with this build, like this build pretty much originated from that flowchart. Like I built it in step 3, and then in step 4 I was like, okay, this is what we have now, this is what I want to try out. And I basically just went from there. So it's pretty simple, the flowchart. I'll put it on screen now so you can see. Basically, it's explaining what to get with this grade 2, how it goes, and then, yeah, you just swing with Gravidia and double your triggers. The other thing I've seen on Twitter, which I don't remember if I can find where, was a sort of explanation of what pieces you can have early and how it works with them. So realistically, the pieces that you're going to have, you're always going to have this one because you search out from your right deck, or if you don't search out from your right deck, then it's in your hand, and that's just unfortunate, but at least you still have it. So these are the other 3 that you can play early. So this is all before grade 3, because once you hit grade 3, this deck is very simple. Everyone knows how to play Gravidia at grade 3. You just get 5 Meteors, drop 5 Meteors. It's that simple. But before you hit grade 3, this is the most interesting part of the deck. So let's go from the beginning. Let's say you have only your Shadow Army token. So the way I play it is, because of the grade 2's ability gives 5,000 power to 1 unit, if I only have the Shadow Army token, I will use this one's ability to give 5,000 power to the Shadow Army token, making it 20,000. Because this way, I swing with the Vanguard, and if they take it and get a defense trigger, the Shadow Army token can still hit. And if they guard it, they've still dropped 1 card. Usually, if you did like 15-15, they drop 1 card and go like 1 pass, or they just take it and then this one might not hit. So the way I like to do it is I like to do the 20,000 token if I only have this. Now, if you have the 1 of the grade 2, I like to do it this formation, and I give the 5,000 power to my Vanguard. This makes it so it's a very annoying card to guard, because again, 15 against an 8 or a 10k is a magic number, so without 10k shields being easily accessible in Overdress, 15k is very annoying. So usually they'll want to pass it. Sometimes you'll get a cheeky crit and it'll be pretty good. So 15k puts up the pressure, and then this on its own already is 25. It's a 2-card drop for pretty much every deck. So you don't need to put the extra power here if you only have this setup. The next setup is if you have only this grade 1. So it's actually very similar to the first one, except you can put this grade 1 here, because this means they can't damage deny you, because this will work on boost. So you boost, countercharge, and then Gravidia on the next turn, and counterblast. And this is an 18k column. Obviously, again, you'd put the power here, which this going first is even better, because 18k and then 20k, very annoying numbers for a grade 1. Against grade 2, I mean, 18k is still a difficult drop, and 20k hits over a trigger, so it's pretty good. Let's say you have both of these. Honestly, depending on the matchup, you can just go with this formation that we've seen, or you can drop this earlier, depending. Like, if they have retire, you don't want to lose this valuable piece. If they don't have retire, you can drop it if you feel like it. And the last formation is this one. So you have 2 of this guy in your hand and the grade 1. So this formation, I just like to go all out. Vanguard can stay on 10, it doesn't matter. You want these to hit instead. So this is 25, and then you use your Vanguard skill to give this another 5,000, so it's 23. So 10,000, this one's super easy to guard. It's almost like baiting them into guarding. Like, hey, this is the only one that you can one card guard. So, if they're grade 1. If they're grade 2, this one can be one card guarded. But if you just have this small attack, like it's just 10,000, that's it. And then these sides are, considering overdress early game, pretty big. Like 23 and 25 are very good numbers early game. So that's been my little, I guess, explanation on Gravidia. So yeah, used it at Springfest and got top 8, so I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, in terms of what's coming up later, so we have Festival Collection, which was released a week before Springfest, but that they have this rule where a set has to be out for 2 weeks for it to be legal. So we weren't allowed any Springfest cards. Sorry, we weren't allowed any Festival Collection cards at Springfest. This doesn't affect Gravidia at all. I honestly think it's not worth playing any of them. Even the heals, like, I'm not a big believer in these new heals they've been printing. I would rather just always have the 15k shield, especially with Gravidia when you're drawing off your meteors. Like, you get the hand anyway. You don't need a gimmicky heal. And the other cards, they're okay, I guess, but at the end of the day, they don't really contribute anything to the game plan, and I'd rather just have the strong set 4 pieces that we got anyway, so I'd keep this deck the same going forward. At least until set 6. We'll hopefully get a little bit of support in set 6, but we'll see. Until then, I'll see you guys next time, and thank you for watching.